So in terms of newspapers, we've done that. In terms of kind of the more YouTube, social media content, we've done that. What about in terms of what we're watching on TV? In terms of commentary? You, again, one of the very best to do it, and you were part of my favourite era. In terms of what it is now, what do you guys like about it? And do you find it changing? Or is that kind of the one thing maybe that hasn't changed as much?
It used to be familiarity. You keep the squad together. Channel 9, you know, the Channel 9 commentary team, legendary. Richie Bennell, Bill Lorry, Ian Chappell, Tony Gregg, etc., etc. Sky, exactly the same. David Gower, Ian Botham, Lloyd, Atherton, Warren, Michael Holding. Now they're changing. They're bringing people in, and as they would say in broadcasting terms, we're freshening it up. We're freshening it up. That's absolutely fine if they can speak, if they're any good. I don't care how many wickets and runs they've got. Have they done it? And a big problem for me would be a summariser who hasn't done it. That's a massive problem to me. I like a journalistic lead. In radio, I think it's a must. Mm-hmm. I like a journalistic lead in radio with a summariser who's done it. Been out there, got the T-shirt, 20 yards away, at 90 miles an hour, what's it like? Now you know cricket. If you ain't done that, you can't tell me a thing. So there's a big change in that broadcasters now are bringing celebrities in, celebrity commentators who might look pretty, or they might have played a bit of cricket somewhere along the way.
Or they've got a TikTok following, or
if they've got a social media following. So that is an issue to me.
By the way, I have been a summariser, and I didn't play the game.
Yeah, but you're a lead.
But
I've been summarising to talk.
I do everything that everyone asks for because I'm trying to get paid.
So from
Jack of all trades.
Get back to the nitty gritty. To get to what we do.
Yeah.
Andrew McKenna is not a summariser.
Sure.
Yeah.
He's a lead. He's a lead.
So here's my issue. Like, I follow a lot of American sports, and the commentators in those sports take it very, very seriously. Like, they do hours and hours of research. But the reason they do that is because they paid like 3, 4, 5. Was it Charles Barkley was paid like $50 million a year to be, although Charles Barkley didn't do a lot of research, but they get paid a lot of money, and they're professional, and they do it. They know they've got their games ahead of time. They know who they're going to play. Before the games, they quite often meet with the coach or the star players. They talk through stuff. This isn't filmed, right? This is them doing their research, right? Cricket commentators, especially now, as Bumble said before, with the more, you might, if you're a commentator now, you might only do 3 tests a summer, whereas in the old days you would do 5, 6, 7.
Yes.
Right? That's part-time, right? And so they come in, and the week before they were at a celebrity golf tournament, so they didn't actually see the test match, right? The week before they were doing some other job, they were working in another league somewhere else. We don't have the professionalism within commentary that we should have, because we don't have people doing the job enough game in, game out. And, you know, me and Bumble have commentated so much. I mean, I haven't commentated his level, but we've both commentated so much. The first test match, it takes you a little bit to find your rhythm.
Well, does it ever? Does it ever? You need a net.
Yeah.
You've got a net.
And by the time you get to the 4th or the 5th, you are flying, and you can do it with your eyes shut, right? Then you don't do it for another. But it's harder on it's easier on radio. Yeah, sure. But then you don't commentate for 3 or 4 months, and that I'm talking about this from personal experience, but you can see it on the TV guys, right?
We'd all be anxious and coming into a test match at Sky if we hadn't done a couple of county matches.
Yep, sure.
You need to get into it. You know the machines, know your director, know your producer.
And you had contracts, so you knew that you had that job next year more often than not.
Yeah.
Most of these commentary people in the world work for on a 1-month contract. And they don't even know if they're going to commentate another series that year. How are you a professional then? You're not.
That'll be the call, Sam. Do you fancy a bit of commentary?
Oh.
Yeah, right, yeah.
How often have we received that call, like 2 weeks before a tournament?
That's it.
I remember getting offered a PSL gig one year, and I was like, sorry, I haven't watched the PSL in like 2 seasons. What do you want me to do?
Has commentary analysis then, has it become a little bit lazy for us viewers, do you think? Because these guys don't know the players inside and out. Are they, because, Sky's commentary would be the detail, the analysis would be frightening.
Well,
Is it now become a bit lazy, guys? do you think?
Analysis is great for masterclasses at lunchtime. Put it on masterclass. There's a game going on. Talk about the game. Tell me what's happening on the game.
You don't like the third man chair?
I hate it with a vengeance.
Oh, I thought that was
Why
one of the
Bumble?
best things Sky ever
Third
did.
man,
why?
Analysis is for half time and tea time and after the game and before it. Talk about the game.
We're doing a long day of Test cricket. A third man.
Third man,
once a
he's
session's okay, isn't it?
interrupting the flow.
I love third man, but I'm really upset you said that, Bumble.
Yeah, I did everything to get out of third man, or I just made it that bad. You're
not going on
they
again,
won't have
yeah.
him again.
So I would say that the bigger issue is that we don't have a professional class of commentators, which is why I think people like Ian Bishop and Simon Dool have risen so high,
brilliant.
because they're commentating like 12 months of the year.
Yeah.
Where some other poor person who
Yeah.
might be more talented than them, right, is commentating one series and then doesn't receive a call for 6
Great
months.
line, Sam. Great line, Sam. Beefy. Yeah. Lloyd Botham. Beefy, you're on third man today. What's that? He never did it.
He didn't do it.
No, I can't have beef on that.
So then the second thing is kind of going to that thing, which I would say is in the old days. So when Channel 9 was a great commentary team, you talked to Ian Chappell and to Mark Nicholas, and they were like, the producers were king, right? Kerry Packer would say, if you don't listen to the producer, you're getting a phone call from me directly, right?
Yeah.
As things change, the producers are not always the most powerful people in the world anymore. And they are usually told by TV executives, I don't care if the person can commentate, I want them to be famous, I want them to be former stars or whatever. It means that a lot of those people come in and they haven't done the work, and so the commentary is not at the level it should be. And that's when the producer should be able to go up and go, what was that? So I think there's a famous one of Ian Chappell coming off once, and some Channel 9 producer going up and going, you never get on air again if you like that, to an Australian captain, right? Could you imagine that now? No one would ever say that in the media anymore.
In fact, that's true. At Sky early days, the head of sport was a guy called Vic Wakeling. He used to sit in his office and he'd have all these screens on, and then it would be Barney Francis, Paul King, and you'd get a call.
Really?
You would get a call if it's not right. And
Now
I've had calls.
Yeah.
Don't worry about that. Yeah.
From John Norman?
No.
John Norman's done it to us before, though.
Has he really?
Yeah.
Mark Nicholas got the call from Kerry Packer.
Yep.
You're not entertaining me. You're boring me.
Yeah.
That
wouldn't happen now, would it?
That is where I think that has changed quite a bit. You're more likely to get a call if you've said something slightly against the cricket board, right? Like if you said something that might upset a future rights deal, you will get the call.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know, so Tony Kosier and Mikey Holding not commentating in the West Indies, right? That wasn't an accident, right? Like those sorts of things. I've been offered jobs.
Harsher Bogley just had a little time out in India
I've
because
been
he said something that they didn't like or the players didn't like.
Yeah, I was offered a TV job and the cricket board retracted the offer. Like these things happen quite a bit, and so it's more that
people are now scared to slag someone off, to slag a player off.
it's player off the
Because it
board.
gets put on social media, they then see
The
it.
players not at the board. You don't
board
want to get
maybe.
involved. You don't want to get yourself involved in a TV rights deal, right? That's the worst place to be in cricket, between a board and a TV company trying to pay a lot of money. So that is certainly something that you get a lot of now, and what you don't get is the journalism in the broadcast. So Richie Benaud is a journalist, right? He was a trained journalist. He knew how to put an article together. He knew what mattered. And now you have a lot of ex-players, and Richie Benaud's an ex-player, so I'm not having a go at ex-players. They come in, and I remember having one ex-player say to me, and he was doing commentary, he said, "This is the easiest job I've ever had."
Ooh.
And I said, "But then you're not doing it right."
Yeah.
Right? And that is the attitude too much that we hear now. And I remember Andrew Simons commentating in South Africa. Obviously, he's the pub, but I've said this while he was alive as well. He was in the lunch queue ahead of me, and one of the guys from Fox Sports was saying to him, "Do you watch much cricket, Roy?" He's like, "Nah, I don't watch cricket." And he's like, "Well, how are you going to commentate on all these guys?" And he's like, "Oh, I know cricket, mate." It's like, you still have to know how to pronounce their names.
You know, on
you still have to know
TV
what they did last week. Do you know what I mean? There's work here.
You know, on the TV, you've got to have your earpiece in.
Yes.
And so and you'll get the new guys will come in, and no, I don't want that in. mate, you've got to put that in
Yeah.
to know what's going on.
Yeah.
You've got to, so in that here, you've got 4 people speaking. You've got your producer, your analyst, your director, and the PA. So there's 4 people in there. So you've got to put your little pot, you turn it to it's just there.
Yeah.
And your mind is trained to listen to the important bit.
It's like listening to a train conduct. Do you know when you've got your headphones on?
Yeah.
You're still like, I've got half an ear in case the train conductor goes, we're about to miss our next stop or whatever. You've got to have that sort of thing. The last thing I would say is that because we have more choice, because we have more interesting people, I think this has been done a little bit in New Zealand and Australia now, we need alternative commentary teams going. And they did it for the IPL one year as well. One commentary team talking to a general audience is not actually, we should be looking at getting a comedian group in, an analysis group in, different voices.
Extreme commentary.
Yeah, but
You can do that.
but you listen to American sports and you can listen to multiple different options, right?
Warney, he pulled me to one side and he said, look, I've got a management company in Australia who are very interested in doing extreme commentary. He said, just me and you. I said, how's it work then? He said, well, there's a bit of swearing and effing and blinding. And
Yeah.
I said, well, we'd be out of a job then. He said, no, it's only on the internet. I said, is that all? Just the internet, worldwide.
Nobody will see it, Bumble.
Give it a miss, mate.